go do this together. It takes everybody now. It takes everybody. Let's go, family on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Quarterback is the most important position in football. Moves the needle more than just about any other position in any other given sport. Naturally, it's easy for folks to overhype and overrate quarterbacks who put up above average numbers. But truth be told, there are too many notable NFL QBs who get far more recognition and credit than they really deserve. So, with that being said, how about we dive into the 10 most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL right now, heading into the 2024 season. Dak Prescott. If Dak Prescott wasn't the quarterback of America's team, then heck, perhaps he'd be rated rationally. Just imagine if number 4 was on a small market team like the Carolina Panthers, Jacksonville Jaguars, or Atlanta Falcons instead. But when you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, you're always going to receive far more hype, media coverage, and attention than others. Just ask Prescott and the guys before him, Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman, and Tony Romo. Because Prescott puts up Pro Bowl numbers every year on a big market team like Dallas, he's developed a reputation as an MVP caliber and superstar level quarterback. Fair or not, star quarterbacks are always judged by their performances in the postseason. And to be perfectly blunt, jeez, dude. Prescott has just been unwatchable in the playoffs. Despite being blessed with a star-studded supporting cast, Prescott is 2-5 in the postseason for his career with 14 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. His quarterback rating drops from a superb 99.0 in the regular season to 91.8 in the playoffs. Last season, Patrick Mahomes lifted the Kansas City Chiefs to a Super Bowl championship with a very lackluster set of wide receivers. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, and Matthew Stafford have put up all-world numbers and fared much better in the playoffs than Prescott. With a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense every year, Prescott had 2 wins in 8 seasons as Dallas' starting QB. He's great for you if you want to win fantasy leagues, but this is not a guy who can push his team over the top. That, folks, is what we call an overrated quarterback. Jaylen Herz. Is Herz a good quarterback? Yes. Is he rated too highly compared to the likes of Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson? Absolutely. Before A.J. Brown's arrival in 2022, Hertz was a meh quarterback at best. In 2021, his first full year as a starter, Hertz had 3,144 yards and 16 touchdowns against 9 interceptions. Those Eagles had the league's best O-line by far and the NFL's #1 rushing offense, and yet Hertz was absolutely annihilated by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wildcard round. Hertz had an MVP-like season in 2022 and would have likely led the Eagles to a Super Bowl 57 championship if not for the tacky holding call against James Bradbury. But wait, didn't Hertz have the league's best receiving duo that year in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown? Not to mention 1,000-yard rusher Miles Sanders, standout tight end Dallas Goedert, the league's best O-line, and the NFL's 8th best scoring defense. When the Eagles were hit by the injury bug in 2023, Hertz was nowhere close to his MVP form. He suddenly became a turnover machine and failed to elevate his team during a miserable second-half collapse that culminated with an embarrassing wildcard round loss to Tampa Bay. If you take away all of Hertz's short yardage rushing scores through the tush push, his stats would look a lot less MVP caliber. Now that Jason Kelce's gone, just how effective will that tush push be? Also, let us remind you that Hertz's 2 playoff wins to date are against Daniel Jones's New York Giants and a San Francisco 49ers team that was forced to put in running back Christian McCaffrey at QB. Wow, very impressive. We'd like to see Hertz carry the team on his back for once to reconsider his place here. So far, he just looks like an above-average guy who is benefiting from an elite supporting cast across the board. Trevor Lawrence. T-Law was regarded as a generational QB prospect when he went first overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2021. If he is indeed generational, well, we're still waiting for him to show it. We're going to excuse his 2021 rookie year because Urban Meyer single-handedly ruined everything that year. If you focus on what Lawrence has done since Doug Peterson became head coach in 2022, however, well, the results are merely average. 17 wins, 16 losses, 46 touchdown passes, and 22 interceptions. His lone playoff win, that epic 27-point comeback against the Los Angeles Chargers, come on, let's be real. The Bolts handed that to the Jaguars on a silver platter. I mean, Lawrence threw 4 interceptions in that game, for crying out loud. Tough to ignore also that with the AFC South crown almost locked up last year, that Lawrence lost his final 5 starts. with 7 picks during that span. Dude couldn't even beat a weak Titans team in a must-win Week 18 game. Lawrence has been solid at his peak, but nothing close to MVP caliber. He has been maddeningly inconsistent to begin his career. So I think it's time to remove that superstar label from him unless he proves that he actually is one. Derek Carr. It's pretty amazing to think that Carr has signed 3 separate deals worth over $100 million in his NFL career, despite 0 playoff wins and only 2 winning seasons as a quarterback. After a 9-year run with the Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders, Carr signed a massive 4-year deal with the New Orleans Saints worth $150 million. Carr put up stellar numbers on a Raiders team that never gave him a top 10 scoring defense, not to mention that he had to work with 6 different head coaches there. But 2023 was a frustrating reminder that Carr is not the needle-moving QB that so many people seem to think he is. He joined a New Orleans team with a top 10 defense, an elite offensive line, and a dynamic set of weapons in football's worst division, no less. Yet Carr could only put up 3,878 passing yards and 25 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. And there were numerous instances where Jameis Winston had to come in for an injured Carr. And lo and behold, the Saints offense usually functioned better when Winston was throwing the ball. Carr just keeps scoring these big contracts, even though he's probably not a top 20 QB in the NFL anymore. If he doesn't cut it as New Orleans starter in 2024, well, don't be surprised if Carr has to finish his career out as a backup. Sure, he's closing in on 40,000 career passing yards and 250 passing TDs, but a 72-87-0 record with 0 playoff victories sorta speaks for itself. Overrated much? Kyler Murray. The first overall pick of 2019 is being paid like a superstar by the Arizona Cardinals, who handed Murray a $230.5 million extension in the 2022 offseason. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement that Murray brings because, he does look like a superstar when he is on his game. He's got elite athleticism and oftentimes looks like a video game character with his slick mobility and ability to extend plays. But we're also talking about a guy here with a 28-36-1 record. Yet to throw for 4,000 yards or 30 TDs in a season. His career interception percentage of 2.05 is even worse than Carson Wentz of all people. And also other turnover-prone QBs like Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, and Derek Carr. And one needn't remind you of how much Murray's stats dropped off in 2021 following DeAndre Hopkins' injury. It's almost as if Murray can't play like a Pro Bowler without a top 5 wide receiver to throw to. And yeah, if the $230.5 million man would win his first career playoff game, then he might shed that overrated label. Geno Smith. Smith was a feel-good story in 2022, winning Comeback Player of the Year honors after setting career highs across the board. That included a league-best 69.8 completion percentage and 30 touchdown passes. Smith led the Seattle Seahawks to 9 wins and a surprise return to the postseason in year 1 of the post-Russell Wilson era. That led to Seattle giving Smith a 3-year contract extension worth $105 million. But let's not give the 2-time Pro Bowler more credit than he deserves. I mean, we're talking about a supporting cast of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Zach Charbonnet. Even Drew Lock looked good in the 2 starts he made for Seattle last year. But such is life, again, when you have a deep set of weapons and can lean on your running game to win ball games. Kirk Cousins. To be honest, Cousins is hardly different than Dak Prescott. They are nice stat machines who consistently put up 4K passing yards and 30 TD seasons. Within the next couple of years, Cousins should hit 45,000 career passing yards and 300 touchdowns. But like Prescott, Cousins hasn't been able to carry the team on his back when it matters most. He is 1-3 as a starter in the postseason, with 2 of those losses coming as a favorite at home. Cousins is 16-47 in his career against teams with a winning record, and this is with elite talents like Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, and Dalvin Cooks as his go-to weapons over those years. Consider that the Minnesota Vikings went to the 2017 NFC Championship game with Case freaking Keenum. They paid Cousins all that money to win 1 playoff game in 6 years? Okay then. Good luck to the Atlanta Falcons, who just gave Cousins a 4-year deal worth $180 million. That includes $100 million of that being guaranteed. The Falcons will get nice passing stats out of Cousins and maybe 1 playoff win. But a Super Bowl run? Dream on. Brock Purdy. The 2022 Mr. Irrelevant is a feel-good story, no doubt. But, come on. Let's not act like Purdy is the reason behind the San Francisco 49ers' success. Yes, a 17-4 regular season record with 44 touchdowns and 15 picks through your first 2 seasons is impressive. Not to mention that Purdy was this close to leading the 49ers to a Super Bowl 58 victory over the Chiefs. But let's keep this one simple. Purdy has the best set of weapons in the NFL. Rushing champion Christian McCaffrey, future Hall of Famer and tight end George Kittle, and 2 all-world receivers in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. We've seen a ton of quarterbacks flourish in Kyle Shanahan's offense. Even Jimmy Garoppolo went to a Super Bowl and 2 NFC Championship games as the 49ers starting quarterback. And that guy's on his 3rd team in as many years. Purdy doesn't have to apologize for being in a great system, but you can't possibly believe that he'd be a great QB on some other team. He's just properly managing the 49ers' prolific offense as, well, a game manager. DeShaun Watson. Watson was a bona fide superstar during his run with the Houston Texans, but he last played in H-Town 4 years ago, and we all gotta stop thinking about the past. Watson has been a complete waste of money and assets ever since the Cleveland Browns made a blockbuster trade for him in 2022. The Browns gave up 3 first-round picks as part of the package for Watson before he signed a record-setting, fully guaranteed $230 million deal. A combination of suspensions and injuries have limited Watson to 12 starts over his first 2 years in Cleveland. He's completed less than 60% of pass attempts for 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Making matters even worse for Watson, the Browns' offense was better in 2022 with Jacoby Brissett before Watson took over, and their offense peaked with a 38-year-old Joe Flacco in 2023. So even with a top 5 O-line, a top 5 running back in Nick Chubb, and a star wideout Amari Cooper, Watson has put up mediocre numbers, while Brissett and Flacco looked like above-average dudes running that offense. Final verdict, you're overrated, Watson. Time to start living up to that deal if you want to regain your status as an elite quarterback. Good luck with that. Tua Tagovailoa. It's hard to remember now, but Tagovailoa was once regarded as a can't-miss QB prospect back in 2019. He was the early and overwhelming favorite to go first overall in the 2020 NFL Draft, but a season-ending injury and the rise of Joe Burrow quickly changed that. Tagovailoa wound up going 5th overall to the Miami Dolphins in 2020. He was the 2nd QB taken after Burrow, who went 1st overall to the Cincinnati Bengals. Tagovailoa has gone 32-19-0 over his first 4 seasons as a starter, but, we're of the belief that he's a product of Miami's system. Consider his stats before Tyreek Hill arrived in 2022. 27 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. In 2021, he averaged a 204.1 passing yards per game. Tua's first 2 years with Hill, 54 touchdowns and 22 interceptions, and he averaged at least 272 passing yards per game in each season. Here's the deal. Tua looks great now because he can just throw a pass to the league's best deep threat and let Hill do the rest. Oh, and not to mention Jaylen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and Devon Achane are whole world difference makers too. Throwing Tagovailoa's awful record against teams with winning records for his career, and yeah, you have an overrated QB. He can beat up on the bad and mediocre teams with his insane set of weapons, but when it comes to elite competition, Tagovailoa just folds. So, hey, maybe let's all stop hyping him as a superstar and MVP level QB. Can we at least get like one playoff win first? But hey, who do you think is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL right now? Let us know in the comments section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.